What does it mean to be always an entrepreneur? The company definition is problem solver, take the initiative, do differently, and being proactive. That is the general company descriptions of the core value. But for me, working in the network operations center, it means that you should always take an initiative on working on tier 2 and tier 3 tickets. You can't wait for someone to tell you, hey, you should work on this ticket, or you should be working on that ticket. It has better priority. You have to manage yourself, and if it's something that is within your reach, you should always try your best before you go ask for help. And we deal with all different kind of things. We do internal IT, we do networking, we do hardware, software, you name it. The network operation, we do them all. A few of my examples that I believe fit into the descriptions of always being an entrepreneur are one, last quarter we were in the process of switching our local carrier. What happened is that the current carrier decided to shut down some of their equipment because they no longer use it, and they just sold their business to a different carrier. So they decided, like, hey, let's shut down some of our equipment to save costs, and and migrate all the current customer from our hardware to the new carrier. But what they didn't do correctly is that they shut down some of their equipment that has some of our active number as in numbers that we have assigned to our customers. So that means they completely took our customer out of business by shutting down their equipment. So I was on call that week, and I started seeing a trend of customer ticket coming in for a 310 area code, bringing the same error message, which is your number is no longer in service, please contact your provider. So I was just like, hold on, what is going on here? So rather than running around trying to figure it out, I went ahead and contacted the carrier and figured out what's going on. Be like, hey, did you guys do something to these numbers? So we found out that one of the hardware that they decided to shut down had a bunch of our 310 area code number on them, on the hardware. So what that means is that they just shut down an active hardware that should not be shut down. So I was working with the carrier trying to restore the number back in service, but I also took the proactive steps to work with Jim Bennett, who is also our database engineer, and he pulled up a list of 310 numbers that we have in inventory, and I went through and tested all of them to ensure that we find all the numbers that's affected and get the carrier on it, and to get the number back in service again. We always try to identify a problem before our customer does, and usually it's really bad when a customer find out about issues before we do. It's just that it's really bad practice, very bad business practice. So I went ahead and I found 2-3 more numbers that was affected, and I got on the carrier and made them get the issues resolved right away before our customer reported to us. So to our customer, that that outage never happened, because I took the proactive steps to make sure that all the numbers that we have in inventory are still working, and I also work on those numbers that was affected, and get them back online, and that describe always been an entrepreneur. A second issue that I ran into is actually over the weekend. I was planning to do an upgrade on our Boston VMware host. What that means is that most of our servers right now run on virtual machines, and they are hosted. We have 3 hosts that runs them, runs all the virtual machines on, and one particular host I took down. I did the upgrade and the update on the host, and when I tried to bring the host back online, it threw me this error that I've never seen before. I was just like, what? I was just like, I'd never seen this error before. And usually when this happens, I usually call Dominic, who is our network operation manager. He managed the VM infrastructure, so he's extremely familiar with the environment. But you know what? I was working on this at 1:30 in the morning, and it's really something, it's a last resort before I had to call him, So I told myself, you know what, let me do some research on Google. So I decided to spend around 2.5 hours on Google just researching the error message to see what resolutions that was out there to resolve these issues, and I was getting multiple procedures to resolve these issues, and then until I found one that I'm very comfortable doing, and I had to make sure that whatever I'm doing will not affect the server itself. So I spent 2.5 hours on Google researching, so I didn't find resolution until I believe 3:30 in the morning. But you know what, I was extremely being proactive, taking the initiative and being a good problem solver, and I spent 2.5 hours and I got the resolution I want, and I was able to resolve the issues, and I was able to finish my my project and and get it done without even calling Dominic. The third issues that I would talk about is over the weekend as well. We had a couple of tickets that has escalated to tier 3, which means that the issues is service affecting to our customer. What happened is that we had a couple of customers who canceled their account, but they decided to reactivate it, try to reactivate their account. But what happened is that they had a balance on their account. Usually what we do is that we credit them the balance so that their balance would be at 0, and then that would let us reactivate their account with any issues. But we did that, and it's still throwing us an error that unable to reactivate the account. So usually when that happens, we open a JIRA with our software engineering team and have them look into the issues and try to resolve the issues for the customer. But you know what, I thought to myself, you know what, instead of following the normal procedure and try to make the engineering team do all the legwork and try to resolve the issue, I was like, you know what, let me go into the logs and take a look at the error message and see if it's something that I could resolve myself. So when I went into the logs for the error, I found out that even though we credited them their balance back to 0, but they missed their billing date, each account has a specific billing date, and if you don't pay your balance by your billing date, we will charge you a recurring fee, and that will not show up on your balance in our customer management service tools. So what I did was that I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and try to credit them the recurring fee as well too, so that actually will bring their balance back to 0. And you know what, by doing that, I was able to restore the customer account to active status. So even though we set an expectation for the customer to have to wait until Monday to get a resolution, but I went ahead and being proactive and look into the error message detail in the logs, and I was able to identify the issues and resolve the issues and got the customer account back online on a weekend. So that's a very good example for that. So in general, we for my department, we always try to being proactive on what we do, and try to get as much work done as possible before we even try to escalate the issues to anyone, and that really demonstrates the core value of always being entrepreneurial.